Welcome to the Media Bubble Podcast. It's the podcast that talks about all geeky media related topics. I'm Karol and he's Fredrik, so let's get the show on the road.
And in today's episode, we're going to have a bit of a tournament, those that we used to have on this channel, or some from time to time. And this time, it's on DreamWorks animated movies. So I have picked 16 animated movies in a bracket, and they have been seeded through 3 different ways. Rotten Tomato scores, critic score and audience score, and IMDb score.
Yeah, I think because, as you have mentioned, we did previously some sort of brackets. We discussed food, we discussed fruit, we discussed... but I think this one will be much harder for us because this is entire stories we're talking about.
Sure, I have a feeling that it's going to be easier in some way.
But I actually wanted to ask you up front, what are we judging the movies about? Is it the overall quality, the story, just everything?
No, it's the ones that we like the most.
Oh, so it's just our preference. It's not like a statement. It's just what we like.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Otherwise, would it have been the point in doing this in the Media Bubble podcast?
Okay, that is true. But which movies are we going to talk about?
I hope you know that, but okay, should we start with the first matchup?
Yes, but you forgot to say we have 16 movies.
No, I don't think I forgot to say that.
All right, let's go to the first matchup in that case.
And the first matchup we have is the first seeded How to Train Your Dragon versus the 16 seeded The Road to Eldorado.
It rhymes.
And I know. Well, what did you say?
It rhymes.
If I'm being honest, I'm personally, I kind of almost want to do an upset here because I love The Road to Eldorado and I'm quite disappointed that it didn't get higher than 16th seat. But the How to Train Your Dragon is a really good film.
You know, before you asked me to do this series, I said specifically that I wanted to see most of the movies, just so that we could talk about them. And How to Train Your Dragon, I would have not seen the series if you haven't asked me for this episode.
Had you never seen How to Train Your Dragon before this?
Like, I've seen some parts of the first one, but I never had, like, an urge to see the rest of them. Like, I think I got the point with the first one.
Oh, okay.
But I did. I've now seen all of them, and I can kind of see the hype.
So, The Road to Eldorado is this fun buddy movie where 2 thieves escapes from
Spain.
Police, you can say, and they find the lost city of Eldorado, and they get a lot of gold because the people that live there thinks that they're gods.
Yes. They have prophesized about their god's return, and there's like a big plaque at the beginning, which we see that it represents both of them and the horse, so there's something about that. Plus, there's this really queer-coded villain that really tries to, like, sell the idea that these are the gods that will bring upon the age of the jaguar.
Of the jaguar?
Yeah, jaguar, because Taka-chan, he believes that with this new age it will be much bloodier and it will be much more meaner and they will, like, sacrifice people for the gods.
How fun.
Yeah. Just
well, which one do you prefer of these two?
I mean, it depends, because I actually... I'm gonna say Road to Eldorado.
Are you sure?
Yes, because as I said, I've seen all the Dragon movies, and as much as I liked the first one, I think the later installments are much better.
Okay, so the first How to Train Your Dragon is a kind of uh, loner story. It's a boy called Hiccup who doesn't really feel like he fits in, and then he finds a dragon who is usually the enemies for these Vikings. Um, and those two become friends, and then it's kind of a story about, or a classic story about two friends that shouldn't be friends but are.
I mean, you also forgot to mention that the dragon is essentially a cat, and this whole movie is like a horse girl movie for boys.
Carol, I can't explain everything about the movies.
I'm don't. I mean, it's
I
just
don't think we have time.
I'm not trying to. I just wanted to say something about the movie.
Oh, right. Something to say. Spoiler warning. We are just going to talk freely about all these 16 films.
In various degrees of specificity.
But I could do an upset actually, because as I said, I really like the Road to Eldorado. How to Train Your Dragon is a really good film, but if I'm going to decide which one I like the more, it would be the Road to Eldorado.
I think I agree because it like the movie. It has this wonderful mixture of early 3D animation with 2D animation, but the 3D is done in such a way that it's very like deliberate, like the waters, the goblets, the sails, but like not all the environment because they easily could just go like full CGI temples of gold, but they didn't, which makes it that good. And also, last mention, first dragon movie, there's a lot of texture everywhere, which just brought me back to this two like the earlier 3D movies.
Oh, okay. It's from 2010.
I know, but as I said, a lot of texture. They kind of went down with the texture with the later movies. I'll show you after we done do the episode.
Okay, so we have a winner, the Road to Eldorado, which means the 16th seeded in our tournament has just beat the 1 seed.
Yeah, so
That
for our
doesn't
listeners,
usually happen.
for all of our listeners, this is only our opinion, and you can enjoy the movie because I mean, as we said, it's still a good movie. It's just that we prefer the other one.
Yeah. Let's see. To the next matchup, which we have the 8th seeded The Prince to Egypt versus the 9th seeded Kung Fu Panda 3. And before this episode, I thought that I had never seen The Prince of Egypt, but when I watched some parts of it, I suddenly remembered that, oh, I watched this at school at some time because they showed us this movie apparently.
You did? I have never seen it in school.
I think it was before you arrived.
God damn it, me missing all the movie nights. Well, I mean, it goes against Kung Fu Panda 3, which is like one of my favorite series.
Yeah, something that you're going to learn about this bracket is that we the two of us really like a certain movie franchise.
And we feel very strongly about it.
Yeah, I always thought that it's a bit weird to talk about The Prince of Egypt because it's a film that is really in religion, and that is usually not a topic in animated everyday movies.
At least not anymore. But I still applaud them to try to like just create this movie based on the book of Ezekiel they said in the beginning of the movie. And it like there's a lot of passion there. I am not religious, but I can appreciate like all the little details, all the like scenery, every single touch, well, like with the burning bush, how it was really just like mystical, and you could see that in that situation, like Judas could not Judas. I am I am not religious. I am not religious.
Well, it was a really good 2D animated movie and had some really interesting scenes, you can say.
I think I also want to compare this movie with Road to Eldorado because they also share the element of some early CGI elements.
Yeah.
It wasn't as present in the Prince of Egypt, but they had like details like scaffolding being 3D. Some of the scenes also, the snakes, I believe, in the when the prince came to the uh, pharaoh. What is happening with me today? I can't remember names. Character A and character B. Am I right?
Okay. So now when we have talked a little bit about the Prince of Egypt, should we just take Kung Fu Panda 3?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I have not seen the third installment until last week.
You haven't?
I haven't.
You just told me that it was one of your favorite series.
I know. And I liked the second one so much, I felt like they can't possibly top the second one. Like, I don't want my expectation to... Like, I don't want to, like, crush my expectations.
Well, let's see if we top the second one later on the list, I guess.
But I do have to say, at least... It's hard for me to say, but... I kind of, like, out of the two movies, at least Prince of Egypt had, like, musical numbers.
Yeah, it had those in that movie, yeah.
And I feel like in... This is just me picking random things and random details that I either enjoyed or not. So in Kung Fu Panda, they had a lot of characters that I had to include. They had Shifu, all of the dragon fighters, all of the villagers, all like Pooh's two dads,
Poe.
and yeah, Poe's two dads, and it kind of felt like all of the newer characters got a lot of screen time, but all of the older ones maybe had a scene or two, and then they did nothing, like Shifu.
Okay, we were kind of already done with that battle, Karol. So.
Oh, okay. Well, on to the next one.
Okay, we have the 5th seeded Kung Fu Panda versus the 12th seeded Megamind. And Megamind is a movie that I, from time to time, hear people talk very positively about, but I never really feel like it gets kind of main or standard DreamWorks movie fame. But sometimes when people bring it up, I hear positively things about it. What do you feel about it, Karol?
I feel like it, with the recent resurgence, people like remembered like, hey, this is actually like a good movie with a nice message to boot. So I feel like the opinion is changing.
I don't know if I felt like it was that special of a movie, if I'm being honest. I felt like it was an ordinary DreamWorks movie.
I don't know. I feel like the movie made a good difference between being good and doing nice things. Because that was like the whole point between like the struggle between Megamind and the fire replacement dude for the main hero.
Well, the kind of premise of this film is kind of if Superman and his enemy fought and the enemy eventually won, what would happen then? And yeah, that's the kind of premise. And then we have Kung Fu Panda, which I think is one of our favorite films. And it's a story about Poe, who is an ordinary chef.
Chef kid, 20-year-old who fantasizes about kung fu and plays with dolls.
Yeah, that suddenly becomes the Dragon Warrior because a turtle pointed at him.
Exactamundo.
And it's so funny because Kung Fu Panda is kind of special in some way because it blends humor with serious topics from time to time, like the kung fu is serious, and the main plot is kind of serious, but it always blends it out with humor, and Poe kind of always is the jokey one.
Yeah, he is he is the comic relief because I believe in the like at first he didn't take kung fu seriously. It was just like this pipe dream of him becoming a hero. But with time he like learns to like the responsibility and that he applies himself and becomes a dragon warrior.
I think he always wanted to learn kung fu. It's just that he didn't really know how.
Yeah, but it's just like in real life. Like I want to learn how to play guitar, but it's much harder than just saying that you want to learn. You actually have to try.
Okay. Well, should we take Kung Fu Panda?
Actually, I'll leave it up to you.
Do you like Megamind that much?
I feel like it's a good movie. Like I'm
but
coming around to it.
Yeah, but do you really feel like it's better than Kung Fu Panda?
You know, maybe before I'd say that Kung Fu Panda was better, but I kind of liked the message of Megamind a little bit more, at least from the first movie.
Well, you just gave me the choice, and
then it's your choice, and I will take Kung Fu Panda.
Okay, we're going to take Kung Fu Panda then, because as I said, I just kind of felt like Megamind was an ordinary DreamWorks movie. Okay, next matchup we have How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World versus the 13-seeded Spirit. Okay, so we have the last installment of the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, in which the Toothless gets a girlfriend, and versus the story about the horse narrated by Matt Damon.
I mean, the Hidden World is a bit more than that.
As I said, Karol, brief explanations.
I mean, then what's the point of making this if we're not gonna talk about the movie?
We are going to talk about the movie. We're going to talk about them freely. I'm kind of just giving a brief explanation just to present them. Now we can talk about anything in the movie.
I have not seen Spirit because I'm not interested in horse movies.
Well, it's not really a traditional horse movie in that point of way. But I don't know. It's not I guess the most interesting movies to see. Like if you had the choice of watching two films, I can understand why you would choose the other.
I feel like if I haven't seen the previous movies in the Dragon series, I would have seen Spirit. But having seen all of the Dragon movies, I'd choose the Hidden World.
Okay, then we can take the Hidden World, because I feel like the Hidden World is probably better. So then, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World moves on. Spirit, unfortunately, is out. And then to our next matchup then, we have How to Train Your Dragon 2, which is a 3rd seed, versus the 14th seed, Madagascar.
Easy. Dragon 2.
Yeah, it's kind of easy. Like, I wanted to include a Madagascar film because that series had done quite a big franchise.
It is. It spawned 3 movies and a long-running series of from the Penguins.
But I never really liked the original film, to be honest. Not even really as a kid. And the first one isn't even my favorite Madagascar film. I like the 3rd one the most.
I don't even particularly enjoy the movies. I kind of just like the series. I enjoyed way more the Penguins from Madagascar and the Julian spin-off.
Yeah, me too. cartoon. I had never seen the Julio spin-off, but there was a cartoon on Nickelodeon which was called The Penguins of Madagascar, and I felt like that version was better than the movies, to be honest.
Yeah, like apparently in that series we learned that the little monkey character, he's like 40 years old and he has psychotic breakdowns and he's twice divorced.
Mm. There was also a spin-off movie called The Penguins of Madagascar.
A movie?
Which, yeah, but it wasn't the personalities from the cartoons which you maybe would have suspected. It was the personality that were in the movies, and those personalities were kind of thin. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Because in that movie they were just side characters. They weren't developed.
No. And my favorite Madagascar film is the third one, which is the one where they went to a circus. I'm not sure if you have seen that even.
I have not seen it.
Karol, you call yourself a DreamWorks fan.
Find me a clip on our podcast when I say it. I need evidence.
Okay, I've told me. But anyway, I even thought we have talked all about the Madagascar in this segment. Should we just take How to Train Your Dragon 2?
Yeah, I think maybe I think this is a good choice, and since it's moving forward, we'll have more opportunity to talk about it later.
Okay, to the next matchup then. We have the 6th-seeded Shrek 2 versus the 11th-seeded Rise of the Guardians. And Karol and me have actually watched Rise of the Guardians together once, and what did you feel about that one, Karol?
I wasn't impressed.
Well, you kind of liked it until the ending.
You know, I don't even remember when we were watching it together. I know that we did. I just don't remember what I was thinking of it. I think it was like... I don't remember. I absolutely forgot.
Well, I actually remember it was... You liked the film until the ending, where you asked me, wait, what was Jack's purpose on this film? Well, I guess it's to make children happy or something. And you felt like that was a lousy reason or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember, because every single Guardian has like a thing. Santa gives gifts, Easter Bunny gives eggs, we have Father like Sand, who helps with sleep, we have Tooth Fairy, and Jack Frost is not really based on any holiday, he's more like a vibe.
And yeah, you kind of disliked that, I guess.
It still matches to what I feel today, so yeah, I believe that. And on the opposite, we have a masterpiece of art, Shrek 2.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but one thing that I think is a bit funny is that that picture that you can see right there of Puss in Boots when he has those cute eyes. Karol once gave that picture to one of our teachers and wrote, please give me an
MVG.
An A.
Yeah. So I kind of almost forgot about that too.
Did you get an A, Karol?
No, I didn't. He did say that he had a good laugh about it and he showed it to the other teachers.
Okay.
I came up with the idea because I saw a similar thing online where people use the same picture just in Polish. So it's like, heck yeah, I can give it a try.
If I'm being honest, I probably prefer Rise of the Guardians. It's a bit of a weird movie, to be honest, when you think about it. It's these holidays mascots that are fighting in a war together.
Yeah, and there's this big bad guy and he gives you nightmares.
Yeah.
But Shrek 2 has everything. It has a romantic love story. It has the best goddamn villain in the entire series of the movies. We have a musical number that is still, and like with I need a hero, which is, I don't know if it's not more popular than the original. We have just the memeability of the entire movie.
Well, we can take Shrek 2 if you want it, but yeah.
For me, it's Shrek. As I said, masterpiece of art.
Well, that can be discussed, I guess. Okay, next we have the latest DreamWorks film, which got a 7th seed, The Bad Guys, versus the 10th seeded Kung Fu Panda 2, which, if I'm being honest, Kung Fu Panda 2 is a lot lower seeded than I would have probably expected.
Yeah, if it were up to me, if I was Mr. IMDb, I'd put it on top spot for DreamWorks movies.
As I said, I used Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. And one thing that was surprising actually about The Bad Guys on the current date that I used the scores on, it had the highest scores on Rotten in one aspect of Rotten Tomato. I think it was the audience score, but it had also the lowest score on IMDb.
Yeah, it just goes to show how much of a different opinion there can be between websites.
And have you managed to see The Bad Guys yet, Karol?
Yeah, I've seen it, and I think that I quite liked it, honestly. It was like GTA for kids.
I guess in some way. It's a bunch of bad guys or bad animals in this case, I guess. That's leader, who is the wolf, is kind of turning a new page, you can say.
Yeah.
He kind of feels good about doing good stuff.
Yeah, which he gets baited into, just that he can be easily manipulated by the main bad guy. But I still felt like the animation was on point. They had some interesting decisions, and honestly, there was a lot of scene where it get me think like there's a lot of weirdness you have to ignore. Like, why are there humans when we're also animals? Why are there guinea pigs that talk and there are guinea pigs that don't? Why can Mr. Wu have a cat that's non-humanoid?
Why is he falling in love with a fox?
I mean, have you seen that fox?
Should we move on to Kung Fu Panda 2?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna talk a lot about it because I want to dive in a little bit deeper into the bracket if it comes to that. But I feel like the biggest stakes were in this movie out of all three of them.
The Bad Guys is a good movie. It's one of the better movies I've seen from DreamWorks in like the last 10 years, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
But it doesn't beat the masterpiece that's Kung Fu Panda 2.
Yeah. And I absolutely agree, since it has, as I said, the biggest stakes, the most threatening villains, and like it's a step up from the original. Which is like everything you'd expect from a movie.
Okay. And let's see, the last matchup we have on this bracket is the 2nd seeded Shrek versus the 15th seeded Flushed Away. And if I'm being honest, I guess one of the biggest reasons Flushed Away is on this bracket is because I really like the film. And if you're wondering why Chicken Run isn't on this DreamWorks list, it's because we're planning another tournament where that one fit more into that team.
So we're still gonna talk about it, just not now. Honestly, I kind of forgot that Flushed Away was even a DreamWorks like product, that they did it.
Well, it's I think it's a studio called Aardman that made it, but DreamWorks kind of, I guess, produced it.
Or published it.
Yeah, maybe that.
It's an interesting story, not gonna lie. But the sheer fact that I forgot about its existence makes me more likely to say Shrek than Flushed Away.
Yeah, as I said, it's a movie that I guess more came into this list because I really liked it. It's a fun story about a mouse that lives in a house, and he
And he
gets
gets
taken
replaced.
he gets taken care of by a human, and then he gets flushed away in the toilet, where he meets other mouse, where he meets other mice that lives more on their own, and he also meets a love interest, and they are kind of working together, and at the same time there's a frog that's kind of in their way.
Yeah. Why was the frog in their way anyway? What did they do?
Well, he had this plan. There was a football match between England and Germany, and he had this plan where he was going to flush every mouse away from the mouse city, I guess.
Yeah, from the sewer system.
Yeah.
Because, I
True.
remember. So during the match, there's a break where everybody goes to the toilet, and that
Yeah.
will cause a massive flooding that will destroy the entire city. Now I remember.
Yeah, so, and Rita has stolen one device that he needs to do that plan with. I don't know, I just kind of felt like it was sweet and kind of fun. Not a masterpiece by any way, but it was kind of just a fun movie.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I can look back on it fondly. It's not something that I used to think about. Like, I don't think, oh, Flushed Away, that exists. But
No.
it's like, I'd still give it a shot and watch it if you haven't yet. You'd be surprised how good it is.
Yeah. And then we have the absolute masterpiece, part 1, Shrek.
The precursor, the OG.
Yeah. The one that created the memes.
Yeah. I mean,
it's kind of weird because Shrek kind of began as a kind of a DreamWorks way to parody a bunch of Disney stuff, and now it has himself kind of become a parody.
yeah, like it became the thing they're trying to critique. I think it was the most obvious with the third installment with how that turned out. But I hold Shrek actually like close to my heart. Okay, that sounds bad. No, I don't. I'm not obsessed.
I hold this green ogre close to my heart.
Exactly. But I do remember most of the plot. I do think about Shrek occasionally, the movie. And yeah, I would like to see it go further up the bracket.
Okay, let's take Shrek then. Okay, then we're done with round 1, and the 8 movies have moved on to the quarterfinals. And in the first quarterfinals, we are revisiting The Road to Eldorado versus Kung Fu Panda 3. Which is, when I guess think about it, I guess it's 2 films about our main characters coming to a new fantastical place.
Can I, before we do that, I just want to quickly mention how most of our quarterfinalists is either Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon, Shrek, and Road to Eldorado.
Yeah, I had a feeling that it would actually be that way, to be honest.
But I feel like you still made a fair choice to pair them up the way you did. Like, we have a good selection.
Yeah, I could have paired them up worse, to be honest. Like think if I would have paired them up to be like, I will pair them up so that I can systematically make my choices go further.
Yeah, that'd be evil. You would never do that, right?
No.
But yes, Road to Eldorado versus Kung Fu Panda 3.
3. The third one, Karol. It's the one with the colors.
So I most vividly remember actually, because as I said, I've seen the movies before we started making this bracket because otherwise I wouldn't have like the motivation. But you gave me that, which I'm thankful for. So I think I most vividly remember essentially Kung Fu Panda 3.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the same as the other two. It has the humor, the kind of kung fu. The some part are more serious. It's kind of Poe teaching a bunch of other pandas kung fu.
Yeah, like it felt like progression since he became the Dragon Warrior. Then he became like he found himself in the role and he fulfilled that role. He became the champion of the village. And then he took over the role of Shifu and began to teach kung fu to other pandas and other participants. Um, I kind of like if we're gonna talk aesthetics. So Kung Fu
Mm.
Panda had really nice just visuals. We had deserts. We had like jade, ghostly realms. We had snowy mountaintops. We had just this like really nice like it because it's set in China. It's Chinese aesthetics. I kind of liked how the like Poe's two dads kind of like came together, and it wasn't just like it wasn't that cliche. It was just like, hey, he needs us. We need to come together and support our son.
Well, one thing I can say about the visuals of Kung Fu Panda 2 is the way that it uses its colors is really unique. I saw once upon a time I heard someone describe it as kind of comic book colors, and
Yes, I agree because that's how I felt too.
yeah, it has a really unique look compared to the other two movies.
And I even feel like because they don't use it, they use it sparingly as well, which makes a scene where it appears so special.
Mm.
For example, they had a scene in the beginning when Pooh was going throughout his fantasies, and then they reused the same aesthetics when he was like coming into the role of a teacher and teaching the pandas kung fu.
Yeah. The Road to Eldorado is still a good film where, yeah, as we said before, they are in this town called Eldorado and kind of explores the town. To, one wants to take all the gold away, but while the other kind of decides to stay, and
Yeah,
one gets a love interest. The other, I guess, gets the town love.
yeah, that would be a fit description. Yes, because that's what happened. um, I think, as I said, I want to go back to the villain. This movie has two villains, which I enjoyed because a lot of them don't, at least the remaining ones. Um, we had Takachan, which is the highest priest, and he believes that the age of the jaguar will come and destroy everything. And then we have what was his name? The Spanish Inquisition traveler man.
Yeah, him.
And I really liked how this because this is what Eldorado has above, like, which that has that Kung Fu Panda 3 doesn't. It has a really threatening villains because I felt that the Inquisition man felt like inevitability. If they came to
Mm.
Eldorado, it would burn and crash. It was
Um,
just by the stroke of their genius that they kind of stopped them from doing that.
I guess the Road to Eldorado is a more serious film than Kung Fu Panda 3, but at the same time, I guess most films are more serious than Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, that's a fair actual that is a fair assessment. I feel like.
Yeah, if I can kind of agree with that point with that the villain of Kung Fu Panda 3 is kind of weak or compared to some others.
He's not as threatening because
Mm,
he's ultimately the strongest kung fu fighter martial
mm,
artist alive in this universe.
yeah. I can be honest with the when I first saw Kung Fu Panda 3, I was a kind of a bit disappointed, to be honest, because I felt like the second one had evolved the series so much, and it was a bigger threat and bigger villain, bigger stakes. And the third one kind of tones it a bit back down.
Yeah, I agree, because it's kind of like, and the second one, it's like Po became like the hero of China, and it's back to a little very smaller scale. Sure, we get to like explore Poe's like family and his heritage, but going back to our villains, he doesn't really get to be threatening. He is a threat, but he doesn't like hurt or like destroy anything that much.
Okay, what have we really come forward with? Which is the one that we're choosing?
I'd say Road to Eldorado.
Yeah, I can go with Road to Eldorado again.
Because it like, yeah,
It's such a fun movie. Like for anyone who hasn't seen Road to Eldorado, see Road to Eldorado because it's such a good fun movie.
yeah, it's a classic for a reason.
And our 16-seeded continues.
So
To the next matchup, which is Kung Fu Panda 1 versus How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
I'll be the one to shoot the first shot. I think Kung Fu Panda 1 should go forward instead of the Hidden World.
Yeah, me too. Like, if I'm being honest with the third How to Train Your Dragon film, I felt like it was quite a bit similar, at least with the villain. Or actually, I feel like there were a lot of things that were similar to the second How to Train Your Dragon film.
You know what? I'll even build up on what you said. I feel like a lot of the concepts in the third one were a lot better in the second one.
It's kind of like Hiccup and Toothless finds this new dragon villain. They also have this threatening villain who has a lot of boats and is trying to destroy the dragons.
Yeah.
which film is I'm talking about, Karol?
It could be either the second or the third one.
One thing that I will give the Hidden Dragon is that I really liked the ending of it. Like, I felt like it gave a proper ending to this franchise.
Yeah, it felt like closure. It came full circle too. Like, it became, we fear the dragons, we befriend the dragons, and we will let the dragons go. Which was poignant. And just rewatching, because I saw the movies in quick succession, all three of them, and I say there's a lot of callbacks to the first two movies in the third one, which is like, hell yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. But like little stuff, how Astrid and Hiccup interact with each other, how there's like a continuation to the jokes from the second one, like how Hiccup's uncle, he says, "Oh, I never got married because I can never handle a woman," and the second thing, it's like, and in the third one, it's kind of less likely hinted, "Oh, he's probably gay." That's probably the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even how good we describe this film, it's not better than a panda that knows kung fu.
Exactly, because Kung Fu Panda is the underdog story. He's the loser who became the hero, and you sympathize with him so much that you want to see him succeed. And Tai Lung is a threatening villain. He is what Po could have become, if not for, like, feelings and stuff.
Feelings.
Feelings.
Okay, next matchup.
Yeah, so we have How to Train Your Dragon 2 versus Shrek 2.
Oh, sequels against each other.
Yeah, and this is gonna be a tough choice. What say you, Fredrik?
I would probably say How to Train Your Dragon 2. Like, I just felt like that expanded on the first film in quite a fun way. It more explored the world. The characters had grown up a little bit. I think they were made older, and it was kind of an fun film that more explored the world, like I said before when we talked about the third one. Hiccup finds more dragons. There's a new villain who is, I guess, more threatening because he wants to control all the dragons and create a dragon army.
Yeah, can I also say, like, because in the third one we had a villain that kind of mirrored Hiccup, that he kind of controlled the dragons with drugs and he wanted to destroy them for safety. He would be like what Hiccup would become if he killed the dragon. Crafty, kill all dragons type. But here we have someone who had a bond with dragons just the other way around. He was much better foil, the villain, the Blood Hand, the Blood Fist, than the villain in the third one. Because he was like the absolute opposite. They were both they both were missing limbs. They both like had connection with dragons. They understood them completely, but from different angles.
And then we have Shrek 2.
Which also similarly expanded upon like everything on all fronts.
Yeah, I guess it did in some way.
Because while like How to Train Your Dragon, like it expanded like the scope of everything, the Shrek 2, it continued the story in an unfamiliar way in what would happen after a happy ever after.
Well, another happily ever after.
Yeah, but this like it's not always so clear cut because yeah, like Fiona has parents who don't approve of Shrek. There's this plot. She's a princess. She doesn't stop being a princess just because she married an ogre. There is just shenanigans happening and prejudice against Shrek.
Shrek doesn't feel like he fits in, so eventually he and Donkey gets this spell where Shrek is turned into a human and the donkey is turned into a horse.
Stallion.
A stallion.
A gallant steed.
Like his whole body changes, but I feel like they kept kind of the face of Donkey, so I felt like it was a bit weird to look at.
I guess maybe that's the reason we don't see other horses in the movie, because we'd see how weird it would be.
And it also introduces probably my favorite character of the Shrek franchise, Puss in Boots.
Oh, okay. Wait, really?
Who did you think I was talking about?
I was about to make a joke. It was Prince Charming.
No, well, Puss in Boots didn't start as my favorite character, but I kind of just felt like what they would eventually do with him, with his spin-off movie and things like that. He kind of became.
He is a great character. He's this roguish do-gooder who is also charming to boots.
And yeah, I guess Shrek kind of continues this making fun of fairy tale tropes things.
Yeah, it doesn't stop. It doesn't lose the edge. It's just good. It might be even better. And I wanted to say, like, just the concept of Shrek sacrificing basically his life, because for him, being an ogre is like the best thing for him. He loves living in a swamp. He loves bathing in dirt. He loves eating eyeballs and being scary, but he sacrifices all it for love. And he fights for love in a dramatic sequence that I look up like every other month.
Okay.
Or 3 months, I don't know, but I remember Shrek 2.
Yeah, I'm starting to notice that yeah, apparently you really like Shrek 2.
It kind of tells everything about my tastes, really.
And if I'm being honest, I remember Shrek when I was younger, and for people that just think that this was kind of a jokey thing that we watched, it kind of wasn't, to be honest, because Shrek was really actually popular.
Yeah, I think people
and to be honest, okay, Karol, you?
I think people kind of misunderstood and took this at face value, like, ha ha ha, look at this funny cartoon man burping and being mean, but it kind of has like a story it wants to tell, and it's nice.
Yeah, I was going to get to that point that uh, even in all the popularity where Shrek really was popular, I was really never that big of a fan, to be honest.
Really?
No, I could watch the movies and I somewhat enjoyed them, but like I said, Shrek was really, really popular when we were young.
Yeah, it kind of was. But no one ever wanted to admit that they liked Shrek.
Maybe. Well, I guess which one should we take? Because you just kind of made a big argument for Shrek 2.
But I could make an equally big argument for the dragon. Like, if you want to talk a little bit about more, just to even out the playfield, I think the Dragon Trainer, the second movie, is the best one of them all. It's
Yeah, should we continue with that one then?
we might have to.
Okay, How to Train Your Dragon 2 moves on.
Yeah, because I feel like I have more to say about Dragon Trainer 2 than Shrek 2. And it'll be more fun to talk about.
Okay, next matchup we have Kung Fu Panda 2 versus the original Shrek. And to be honest, I don't really feel like this is much of a competition.
No, it isn't. What, do we say the movie on 3?
Kung Fu Panda 2?
Yeah. Like, it has it all.
Okay, Shrek has some good qualities to it, but it doesn't beat Kung Fu Panda 2.
No, I think animation-wise, sorry, I'm gonna hold it against Shrek. It looks a little bit dated. It has that a little bit jank from the earlier movies, while Kung Fu Panda 2 looks stellar. And while I enjoy the story of Shrek, I feel like Shrek, the first movie, against the second one, it doesn't really hold up that well.
No, okay.
The Kung Fu Panda movie, I mean.
Okay. Let's see. Now we are into the semi-finals where we find probably our biggest upset in this whole tournament. The Road to Eldorado versus Kung Fu Panda. Is this where the road to Eldorado stops going?
I actually have no idea.
Oh, interesting. Well, Kung Fu Panda 1, I felt like when Kung Fu Panda 1 came out, it was so unique in some way, because I didn't really feel like so many films had that kind of humor while still having that serious tone to it. And it's kind of this tale of Poe understanding that he has more to him than he himself believes, you can say.
Yeah, I agree actually, because he did have more to himself. And it was nice that as I mentioned before, Poe is a likable character because he's an underdog and it's really easy to root for him. And the whole structure of just this being like it's a kung fu movie, and you want to, like, in martial arts, you want to root for the underdog, and it has mysticism, and it has it just feels very not as, it's still serious, and it's still like it has a little bit of whimsy, don't you think?
Yeah, in some way, yes.
And maybe
especially with the turtle, I feel.
yeah.
And then we have the Road to Eldorado. Something that I have started to think about when it comes to Eldorado is that I feel like it's a bit more adult than some of the other films on this list. Like early DreamWorks 2D animation, I feel like had some more adult things in them.
Yeah, I mean, just top of my head, we have, like, in the beginning, we have, like, poverty, the boys faced being, like, lashed with being whipped with whips for sneaking onto the board of the ship. Then they were like, yeah, we should just sacrifice this man for the gods, and they almost did that.
Yeah, and then Tulio gets a little tingly feeling in his pants.
And you should not listen to that tingly feeling.
No, he's trying to seduce you and take your friends away.
Yeah, like it was also kind of horny if we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, in some ways it was.
Like it was just two dudes on founding like it was cool. It was just two dudes and their conflicting like philosophies because one wanted to stay because he felt like he had already everything while the other one, the creative one, he wanted to stay because he felt like these were his people who just enjoy life and appreciate beauty like him. Uh,
Another thing that I really enjoyed is, do you remember that game scene where they kind of have this ball who's really an animal?
yeah, armadillo.
And they play some kind of weird game of trying to put that ball into a ring.
Yeah, wasn't that based on a real game that Aztecs play or Mayans?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that actually.
So, and it was pretty accurate too. Like the losers were usually executed if they lost.
So
And can I also
now when we have
one last thing, Chaka Khan, I could make him worse.
okay.
That's my take.
I don't know. I probably would take Kung Fu Panda 2. I just felt like that was so unique. It had such a cool villain at the time. It had
Tai Lung.
it had mature themes and in some way, but it still balanced it very well with its kind of humor.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe for us, because it also came kind of around the time when we were young, it kind of felt a little bit inspirational. Like, even if you're weird and you have your quirks, if you apply yourself and somebody will believe in you.
And I guess we're going to take Kung Fu Panda then.
Yeah, I agree. But still, watch Road to Eldorado if you can.
Yeah. Okay, next matchup we have How to Train Your Dragon 2 versus Kung Fu Panda 2.
This is a really tough choice, I feel like.
I guess these two are in some way similar because they both kind of expanded their world. Like the first one kind of introduced the world and the second one kind of expands it.
Yeah.
I still really don't feel like we have explained Kung Fu Panda 2 yet, because that film kind of has been like, okay, let's move on, it's Kung Fu Panda 2.
Yeah, I feel like you're right. So, just to explain a quick recap, Kung Fu Panda 2 follows the aftermath of the first movie. We learn that in China there is an emperor who decided to just commit a genocide on all pandas because he had this premonition from an oracle that one day a panda will dethrone him. He's a peacock and he's like commands China with an iron fist. And suddenly he finds Po, and they find each other, and a war breaks out just between the two factions.
Yeah, like we actually saw this or Kung Fu Panda 2 in cinema together on its premiere.
Yeah, we did. That was so long ago.
Yeah, and the one thing that I remember is that when I walked into the theater, I thought that I would probably like Kung Fu Panda 2, but I love Kung Fu Panda 1 so much that it probably would be impossible for Kung Fu Panda 2 to be even better. And that is how much I like Kung Fu Panda 1, is that I thought it would be impossible for Kung Fu Panda 2 to
top that first movie.
Yeah. And the weird thing is that when I walked out of it, I felt like Kung Fu Panda did just that. Like, I felt like Kung Fu Panda 2 did what sequels are supposed to do. It creates a bigger threat in a villain, bigger stakes. It keeps the good humor and fun adventure kind of thing, and some ways expands the characters and Poe's backstory.
Yeah, because it achieved all of that.
Yeah, Kung Fu Panda 2 is just such a great sequel, if I'm being honest. Like,
And I wanted to say, just as we were mentioning the villain in the third movie, because he didn't feel threatening at all. We had few scenes where he actually like did damage. Besides to like maybe like I know he destroyed the Jade Castle and then fought Kung Fu masters, but you never felt like that he was this evil man. But here we have the prince who poisoned his entire family, like enacted a genocide, developed cannons specifically to destroy his enemies, and he just symbolizes everything that will destroy Poe's way of life. And it's just like, holy shit! If they don't goddamn get his ass, there will be blood.
He would probably destroy the whole city.
Yeah, but not exactly. No. He would just like rule everything. It will be
Yeah.
donezo. It will be game over.
It felt like they somehow managed to make a bigger threat than the first film, and that's kind of what I meant with how it felt like it evolved so much. And there's also one scene where after the villain has shot Poe with a
Cannonball.
with a cannon bolt, because that happens.
Yeah, like I have this scene right in front of me, right in front of my eyes. It was so good, like the almost ending scene.
Yeah, and there's this cool animation scene, because the animation is also very good in this film. There's this scene with Poe when rain keeps falling and he catches a raindrop with his hand, and it's kind of this scene where he finds inner peace. And this movie is just so good.
I think I figured out the flaw with the third one. It's chi. Because this scene would have been explained with chi, but it's been never brought up until the third part. And until now, it felt like this was like a natural progression. He had to find an inner peace. But in the third one, it's just chi. It's just this magical power. It became magic.
Poe, you gotta find this chi kind of power.
Exactly.
It's magical and yellow.
But going back to Dragon Trainer 2, what I wanted to mention was it's one of the few movies where Dead Mom backstory plays into the character more, because Dead Mom comes back to life. Like, that doesn't happen a lot.
No.
I also felt like it was a little bit retconning that his mom was actually alive and having all these dragons. But I forgive it because it built up to this whole other faction of dragons living on an island, explanations of alphas, just her being this antithesis also to the bad guy, and also like further driving the point that Hiccup is just this best of both worlds between his father and his mother. And then his father deaths. I did not see that coming.
No.
I did not see him having two parents and then coming back to single digits, like back to one.
Yeah, that's a bit funny in some way. Just, I have found my mother after all this long time.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, my father died.
Yeah, like they did not get to enjoy it a lot. But it also, again, brought up the stakes because it was integral for him to die, because it drove a wedge between Hiccup and Toothless.
Yeah, it kind of is surprising that they killed off the father just because that was one of the central theme in the first movie, is his relationship with his father.
Yeah, which hurts so goddamn much. I also wanted to say one thing. It was cool that they actually talked in the first beginning of the movie, because I felt like it'd be, oh, Hiccup doesn't tell his father what the deal is, and there'll be like miscommunication, they'll have a fight again. No. First 15 minutes of the movie, Dad, there's a problem. We have there's this guy called Bloodhound, and he's coming to goddamn kick our asses.
Yeah.
Like, cool. Really cool.
I gotta say, How to Train Your Dragon is a really good movie. It's a really good sequel. It expands the world, and
It just exceeded the first one. First one is good. Second one is the best of them all.
It has a cute romantic couple.
I kind of wish we had more on-screen time between Hiccup and like
Astrid.
Yeah, exactly, because it's like everyone is pushing them together, but I don't see it. In the third one I see it. In the second one I don't see it.
Really? I kind of felt like they had been together in some time in the sequel, and that kind of just how their relationship had evolved.
Well, I mean, there is a time skip, so I can see, like, yeah, maybe you're right.
Well, anyway, I kind of felt like Kung Fu Panda 2 wins this, or how do you feel?
I like them. No, I like the second one better. I came around to the Dragon Trainer, to the dragons, but I still have second as a dear place in my heart.
Okay, should we take Kung Fu Panda, or what did you mean?
Let's take the Kung Fu Panda.
Okay. And then for our final matchup, as I said before, we are fans of one franchise, or we are really big fans of one franchise in DreamWorks, and we have a final between Kung Fu Panda, the first movie, versus Kung Fu Panda 2.
We made you a whole episode just to point out that you should watch the Kung Fu Panda movies.
Yeah, they're really great. And
I think that's an easy choice. I think the second one is better.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think that's it. We gave a lot of opinions for why. I don't think we need to reiterate them.
I felt like I explained earlier in this episode that I felt like Kung Fu Panda 1 was so good, and when I watched Kung Fu Panda 2, it somehow was even better.
Yeah. Expanding the world, threatening a villain, like character development, conflict, war, backstory explanation. Like, this sequel has it all.
Yeah, like when I think about how do you make a sequel, I actually think of Kung Fu Panda 2, because it did everything right in a sequel. Like, I know that the name Kung Fu Panda sounds a bit silly, but what DreamWorks did with this franchise is amazing.
Yeah. That's why we're waiting for Kung Fu Panda 4.
Which apparently is happening, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see if they can catch the lightning in a bottle again.
Okay, so the winner of our DreamWorks animated film tournament is, unsurprisingly, Kung Fu Panda 2. And because it's goddamn great.
Yeah, it's really goddamn great. I think you made... I was first questioning the selection of movies that you chose for this tournament, but it made it really enjoyable to talk about because they were quite different, and we actually had different things to say about them.
I tried to take the 16 most popular DreamWorks films. Like I said, there was an exception probably with Flushed Away, but yeah.
But it was dear to you, so I think it fit. Okay, I think...
Well...
I think we said it all about the Kung Fu Panda. You should go watch it. Watch it.
And watch it again.
And watch it again.
Okay. Well, let's do the outro then. Let's see, where do we have that?
Actually, I have a little announcement. Before we finish the episode, go check out our Tumblr. I made a Tumblr. So if you want to see some of the likes, maybe some behind-the-scenes bits, some memes. You like memes, don't you? Go check our Tumblr. I'm working on it being really fun.
Okay. So go and check out Karol's Tumblr, and as always, thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed it as much as we have. Don't forget to follow, hit that bell icon, or follow us on socials like Twitter. See you again in the next episode, and have a wonderful day.